Hey everyone, welcome to today's quick dive into the world of CSV files, these little guys over here. If you ever dabbled in data, you might have come across these little guys, but what exactly are they and why should we care? Well, let's break it down together. First off, CSV stands for separated values. It is a simple file format and it's used to store tabular data like spreadsheets or database tables, but in a plain text. The way that we're gonna see it, it's gonna be something like this. We're gonna have just plain text, row by row, separated by commas. Think about it like a table, as shown here, where each row represents a record and each column represents a field. And each one of them, it's a specific element of the matrix that we have. Now, where did the CSV come from? The format has been around for decades. It's very simple and flexible. It was designed to be just easy to read and write. Now, each value in the field, like I said, is separated by a comma, which is where the name comes from. Although the CSV is technically just quite basic. It's the cornerstone of data exchange and it's supported by many applications. For example, we have multiple softwares like the ones you know, Numbers, Excel, Google Sheets, and the one that you're seeing right now, which is Notepad++, or the general Notepad that Microsoft provides you, or the one that Mac provides you. However, how do we use it? Well, first off, we have the plain text here on the Notepad++. However, if we try to open this specific file in other programs, let's say Excel, what we're gonna see is something even simpler. It's gonna read straight up and be organized, kind of like what you would look or see on a matrix when you're writing it down. It's gonna recognize plain text as text and it's gonna give it that format. As you can see here, it's organized or centered towards the left, and it's also gonna recognize the numbers and it's gonna organize them or center them towards the right. However, because we're talking about plain text in a most simplest format, what we're gonna have here is that it's gonna give it a general format for everything. But when you're trying to use the data, there's when it comes to be relevant that it is comma separated, because it's gonna organize it the way that you need it. Now, one issue that many people come across is, we have example 1 and now example 2. When you try to export or save a file with a semicolon or anything different than a comma, let's say a tab or a space, the CSV file is not gonna open properly. And I'm gonna show you that right now. When you have that CSV file that is not separated with a comma, Excel is gonna recognize it in a different way. It's gonna apply everything in one cell. It's gonna put everything together and it's gonna consider that it's a text. Hence why I mentioned the plain text is centered or justified to the left. Even us having numbers in these two cells here, it recognized the semicolon and it classified it as plain text, which is one issue that we're gonna come across later on in multiple videos that I'm gonna make regarding data management. Now, CSV files are super easy to create and read because, like I mentioned, they're plain text. This makes of them very portable, very compatible with nearly any software that handles data. As you can see, we already saw the example of properly writing a CSV file for Excel, but then we also have other files or other formats that we could use. If we write it down properly, like you see it here, it can be read by other programs such as Numbers, Python, and JavaScript. One of the biggest advantages that we have with CSV files is that they're very lightweighted compared to complex formats like an actual Excel file or a database format file. Why? Because these files do not carry any complicated formulas. It's straight up just the text with the amount of characters that you provided in it. Now, there are some downsides to the CSV files. The CSV files, like I mentioned, they do not support advanced features like formulas or cell formatting. So whenever you save it, you can use it in Excel. I can create a formula here. I can create a formula here, and I can say it's the sum of all these values. And it's gonna give me the exact value. But once I save this into a CSV file and I close Excel, that formula is gonna be gone, and it's gonna save it as the text or as a number, depending on what kind of format or a specific kind of character we provided. Now, there also lack a standardized way to handle complex data types, such as nested structures or binary data, which we're gonna see later on in multiple videos. The point is that this can be a bit of a hassle if your data is more intricate. How does it all fit into data management for coding? Which is one of the main situations or points or topics that we're gonna handle in this channel. Well, CSV files are great for exporting and importing data between different programs, since it is such a flexible format because it's plain text. It's very easy to handle by other programs. So if you're coding, you can use libraries like pandas in Python to handle a CSV data file efficiently. You can also you can make this easy and analyze the manipulation of data programmatically. So if you already have a predefined CSV file, let's say you either have a text file, correct columns, or we have it as plain text, and you're just creating data, appending row after row after row, recording data, then that will make it way easier to create something more automated for your processing. Now, wrapping this up, in summary, we can say that CSV files are a simple yet very powerful tool for data management. We're gonna have multiple files, we can provide it a very specific number, and we can set up a batch file to read one after the other one in a way that it will be very efficient for us to actually create something automated without us having to be on it or checking it quite often. We can just run it one after the other one, and it will just add up to our process database. Now, like I said, they're easy to use, widely supported, and perfect for many tasks. Just keep in mind there are limitations. Like I mentioned, you have to have the proper writing when it comes to the file, when you're dealing with, and also when you're dealing with complex data, but more on that later. And to wrap things up, this is it. That was my time, guys, and thanks for tuning in. And if you found this helpful, please don't forget to like, subscribe for more tips and tutorials regarding your codes, math, and physics, which we're gonna see more later on. Hope you enjoyed this first video that I ever made. And if you have any questions on CSV files or data management or any other questions in general, drop a comment below. See you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you.